Good day to all. Today we will be discussing the urinary system. Okay, so the urinary system. So if you look at here, no, so the main character here in the urinary system is the kidney. Okay, so we have two kidneys. There was a question before when they asked how many pairs of kidney do you have? Their answer is two. So if the question is pair, only one pair, no, but we have two kidneys, left and the right. Okay. So if you look at the kidney, so if you look at the right is lower than the left, no? So if we measure here, the right is lower than the left because the liver is located here to give way for the liver, no? So the right is lower, the left is higher. And because of that, if you look at the length of the ureter, so these are the two ureters, no? Ureters. This one is slightly shorter because of the kidney is lower. Okay, so this is our urinary system. So this is the main character, the kidney, and then the ureter, the urinary bladder, and then the urethra. So we will talk about these organs later on. Okay, so first we will talk about the functions of the urinary system. We will just uh, we will just have a brief discussion on this function because we will discuss in detail this one in the fluids and electrolytes. Okay, so first is elimination of waste products. Okay, so all we know that the urinary system and the kidney, their product is urine and to excrete waste material from our body, from the product of the metabolism, no? So one thing that they eliminate is nitrogenous waste because this is toxic to the body, like urea, creatinine. So they are toxic to the body, so they should be removed in the body. So take note, nitrogenous waste are being removed. That's why if nitrogenous products are present in your blood when they examine you, there's something wrong already with your kidney. So maybe they will advise you to do dialysis. Another one are toxins, no? So urinary system also remove toxin. Aside from the liver, also urinary system do this. And drugs. Okay, so drugs also are being eliminated in the urinary system. Okay, so sometimes if you have taken drugs and the effect is too long, so or you have taken a large dose of drug, they will inject some drugs to you that you will urinate. Okay, so that the effect of the drug will be reduced. Okay, drugs also is being eliminated here. Okay, so another one is to regulate aspect of homeostasis. If you say homeostasis is home means environment, stasis means stability. So stability of environment inside our body. So they are one of the organ that maintains homeostasis. So they are very essential, no? Okay, so there are many things that they regulate. One is water balance. Okay, so the urinary system is one that excrete water and maintain water. So the urinary system, especially the kidney, can determine how much water your body should contain. Okay, so remember our blood is around 5 to 6 liters, no? So the volume of the blood is being maintained by the urinary system. And then electrolytes. There are many electrolytes in the body that are very essential. And they pass through the kidney when they filter the blood. So the urinary system is the one maintaining homeostasis about electrolytes. Remember the most essential electrolytes are the salt, no, or the sodium, chloride, the potassium, and calcium, no? So they are very essential in our movements in the muscle contraction. So this sodium, chloride, potassium, and calcium are being regulated by the urinary system on how much we should maintain this one. Are we going to excrete sodium? How much are we going to excrete? Are we going to excrete the chloride? How much are we going to excrete? Potassium, calcium. So if your body need these electrolytes, they are going to regulate how much they will absorb. Okay, for this water and electrolytes, hormones are essential, no? So for the water to be absorbed, we have the ADH. Did you remember that one? ADH. Okay, antidiuretic hormone, which is secreted by your posterior pituitary gland that is produced by your hypothalamus. And these electrolytes, no? Okay, so we have the aldosterone for the sodium, no? Aldosterone. Okay, so aldos. I just put aldos. So aldosterone, secreted, of course, you know, from adrenal gland that sits in the on top of the kidney. So what part of adrenal gland is the adrenal cortex? What part of the adrenal cortex is the outer surface of the adrenal cortex? So another one is acid-base balance in the blood. So kidney is one of the uh, organ that regulates this acid-base balance in the blood. There are three, no? We have the blood buffers, we have the lungs, and the next is the kidney. It's the one maintaining homeostasis on the acid-base balance in the blood. And we all know that the normal pH of the blood is 7.35 to 7.45. So these three buffering system are the one uh, maintaining the homeostasis of that one, no? So one is the kidney. Remember, bicarbonate is one part of the filtrates that is filtered in the kidney. So this bicarbonate will be decided by the kidney. Okay, bicarbonate, no, will be decided by the kidney on how much is he going to absorb or how much he's going to retain. No, it depends on the pH of the blood. So to maintain homeostasis, am I going to throw or am I going to absorb? How much I am going to throw, how much I am going to absorb. That's why the kidney is one of the regulating uh, body in the acid-base balance. No, blood pressure. Okay, if you talk about blood pressure, the kidney is also the one monitoring the blood pressure, no? So the kidney has an apparatus called juxtaglomerulosa. Okay, so he can monitor if your blood pressure goes down. Okay, so if BP goes down and blood volume goes down, tatlo ba, no? There are three conditions and uh, renal perfusion. That there are three conditions. Renal perfusion, no, goes down. What will the kidney do is to increase the BP, increase the blood volume, and increase renal perfusion until it becomes normal, until normal only. And that is called negative feedback, no? To maintain homeostasis. Okay, so that's the role of the kidney. Later on in our discussion in fluid and electrolytes, we will discuss this one by detail, no? In blood pressure, the hormone here is the renin. Single N, no? Renin. Okay, released by the juxtaglomerulosa in response to the low BP, low blood volume, and low renal perfusion. Okay, for the red blood cell production, okay, this aspect is very important, no? That's why if you have problem in your kidney, you will have anemia because it alters the production of the RBC. Now, the kidney inside has a barometer. Okay. It is also the juxtaglomerulosa who is metering or counting the red blood cell passing through the kidney. So, we have the juxtaglomerulosa. No? Okay, so if the red blood cell that is passing through the juxtaglomerulosa is not enough, this juxtaglomerulosa is being alarmed. Okay, so it will now release the uh, hormone called erythropoietin, no? So if you remember erythropoietin, no? So he will release the hormone erythropoietin, and this erythropoietin, the target organ is the bone, especially the red bone marrow, to produce red blood cell. Okay, that's why if you have problem in the kidney, you will have anemia. Okay, another one is activation of vitamin D. Okay, we all know that vitamin D lives under our skin, no? Lives under our skin, but they are not activated. Okay, so they should be activated in order to perform, no? The main function of the vitamin D is to absorb calcium in the intestine and put it in the blood or in the bone. Okay, so if you lack vitamin D, you will also become weak because there is lacking of calcium in the blood that needs in the muscular contraction for movement. And also, you will have osteoporosis because vitamin D absorb calcium, put it in the blood. If in excess, they will put it in the bone. So if you have a problem in your kidney, you will have osteoporosis also. Okay, so that is the main function of our urinary system. Okay, so another one, sorry, we have this one is already discussed. Okay, so let's go now to the organs of the urinary system. Now, we have the kidneys, the ureters, the urinary bladder, and urethra. Okay, so we have this one. No? So we have the kidney. So we have two kidneys, left and right. One is higher, one is lower. We have the ureter. Okay, ureter. Again, ureter is two, no? There is one pair of ureter, no? The left and the right. Okay, so urinary bladder. Okay, the storage of urine, this one. It stores the urine, and then the urethra, this one, where the urine will come out from our body. Okay, so these are the major organs of the urinary system. So only one, two, three, four. But what is most talked about here is the kidney because it do all the major function of the urinary system. For the ureters, it is only passageway, bladder storage, and urethra is also passageway. So that is their major function, no? Okay, for the location of the kidney, let's talk about the kidney now. Okay, so there are some people who thought that behind their buttocks is their kidney. That's wrong. If we look at the kidney is very high. So you hold your rib and go to the back, ano, the kidney is still very high. It's here. Okay? So if you have a pyelonephritis or infection of the kidney, okay, you can feel pain at your back, but it here, and it's the description is a plank pain. No, you have here the pain. Okay, so location against the dorsal cavity wall, so it's located at the back. Actually, it is retroperitoneal position. Again, this is another organ that is located retroperitoneally. If you say retro, back of the peritoneum. Peritoneum is a serous membrane that covers the uh, abdominal organs. So it's not included inside. So it is retroperitoneal. Okay, memorize this one. Retroperitoneal, kidney. Okay, so at the level of T12, we say T12 thoracic, no? They are counting the thoracic one. Okay, so at the T12, no? At the level of the T12 to the L3. So you will count again one lumbar vertebrae. The meaning of L3 is lumbar vertebrae. T is thoracic vertebrae. So you count 1, 2, 3. So this is the lumbar. So T12, this is the location of the kidney, no? So we count at the back of our vertebrae. So remember this one, T12 and lumbar 3 vertebrae. Okay, so as I have said, the kidney is slightly, the right kidney is slightly lower than the left, no, due to the position of the liver. So the liver is located at the right upper quadrant of our abdomen, just above the right kidney. Okay, so kidney fissures, renal ileum. Okay, so ileum, if this is your kidney, okay, this indentation is called ileum. Okay, so the indentation is ileum. So a medial indentation where several structures enter or exit the kidney. These are the ureters, renal blood vessels, and nerves. So here, no, and so this is your renal ileum. So an adrenal gland sits atop its kidney. So this is very popular already in to us, no? So this one, the triangular shape. This is adrenal gland. Okay, they are close to each other because the adrenal gland secretes hormone that will stimulate the kidney to activate its renal tubules in reabsorption, especially sodium, no? Because the aldosterone is a hormone produced by the adrenal cortex. And so if we are dehydrated, aldosterone will work. Produced by the adrenal cortex. Okay. So coverings of the kidney. So we have a fibrous capsule. It's nice if we have experiment. No, we have dissected the kidney because we can see this structure live. No, we can experience it live. So surrounds its kidney. So this is a fibrous capsule. No, okay. So perirenal fat capsule. So there is also fat capsule here. Okay, so surrounding also the kidney. The of course, almost all visceral organs have a fat capsule. No? This is to serve as a cushion against blow. So if your back is being hit, there is a protection. Okay. So almost all, even the heart. Okay. So we have the fat capsule, even the liver. No. So we have also the renal fascia. Okay. So the renal fascia here. Okay. The renal fascia. Outermost capsule that helps hold the kidney in place against the muscle of the trunk wall. So they are the one who hold the kidney in place, no? That's why even you jump, your kidney is still located there. Okay. So if you look at this, okay, so they have dissected this one, no? This is a human kidney. So it was surrounded by the fat capsule, no? This white. Kaya kulay white siya, no? Yan. So fibrous capsule, fat capsule. If you remove this one, you can see already the kidney. Okay. So regions of the kidney. So we have cortex. It's very easy, no? If you say cortex, if this is the kidney, the outer part is the cortex. Always, no? Medulla means center or middle, no? So inside the cortex. So this is the cortex. Okay, so this is the cortex. This is now the medulla. So from here, okay, this is the medulla. Okay, so renal pelvis is now this one that receives the urine, no? If you say renal pelvis, it now contains the pure urine. Pure urine. Okay, so that is the renal pelvis until here, before it reaches the ureter. Yeah. Okay. So actually, the basic functional unit of the kidney is located here in the renal cortex and renal medulla. Okay. Mm. Okay. So some structure. So on the renal or medullary pyramids are triangular regions of the tissue in the medulla. Okay, actually they are the one collecting the urine, no, from the collecting duct. So these are the pyramids. Okay, so ito yung mga pyramids natin. Okay, inverted pyramid nga lang. Okay, so these are the pyramids. Yan. Okay, so we have renal columns, extension of cortex-like material inward to separate pyramids. So we have columns in between, no, to separate the pyramids. They are called now the renal columns. And calyces, cup-shaped structure that funnel urine towards the pelvis. So meron tayong calyx. Okay, so this one is the minor and this one is the major. Oh, parehas na M naman. Minor, major. Okay. Major. Major tuloy. Major. Okay, so minor and major. So the minor and the major. Okay, so cup-shaped structures that funnel urine towards the renal pelvis. Okay, so madali lang, no? So renal or medullary pyramids. Makita mo na yung triangle dyan, pyramid na. Okay, so renal columns are in between the pyramids and calyces. Okay, so where the urine will come out, okay, from the medular area, no? So here. So minor calyx and then it goes to major calyx in the renal pelvis. Okay. So this one, no? So renal column, major calyx, okay, renal cortex, this is the renal cortex. Okay. Minor calyx, okay, and then the renal pyramids. Okay. So blood supply. So kidney also have the blood supply, no? So if you look at the kidney, there are many blood vessels inside. Okay, so 1/4 of the total blood supply of the body passes through the kidneys each minute. Meron po tayong each minute. No? So the renal artery provides each kidney with arterial blood supply. So if you look at the blood supply, it starts with the renal artery. So this is the renal artery, the red one, no? So meron tayong red, the renal artery. Okay, so this one, the red one. Okay, so first, it divides into segmental arteries. So ito yung segmental natin. So we have segmental, this one. After the division of the renal artery is the segmental. And this segmental will now go to the lobe, no? Here. So if it goes to the lobe, okay, in between the pyramid, it is now called interlobal. Okay, so yun lang yung code mo. Okay, segmental, tapos lobar. Okay, interlobar arteries, and then arcuate arteries. Why they are called arcuate? Because their shape is in arc. Ito yung naka-arc dito, no? Arc, arc, arc. That's why it's called arcuate arteries. So they are the one, no? So from interlobal, there will be arcuate arteries. And then, last is the cortical radiate artery. They are called cortical because they are located in the cortex. They are called radiate because they are straight. Kanina arcuate because they are arc. Here cortical because they are located in the cortex. Radiate because they are straight arteries. So that is the end of our blood supply, no? So repeat, no? Even you close your eyes, you will know. Okay, so renal artery, then segmental artery, interlobal artery, arcuate artery, and cortical radiate artery. O, kahit nakapikit mata mo, alam mo. Basta you know the parts of the kidney. Okay? So, that is the blood supply. Now, of course, the blood should return after deoxygenated. Okay, so it would return to the heart, isn't it? So, the blue one. Okay, dito naman tayo sa blue. There's something different from this one, no? So, the blue one, of course, it will return. We begin with the cortical radiate vein, no? So, ngayon, vein naman. So, cortical radiate vein here. And next is arcuate because there is arcuate, no? There's arc, no? And then interlobal, and there's no segmental, no? There's no segmental, oh, you can see, there's no segmental. Okay? There's no segmental. Okay, so it will now return to the renal vein, directly to the renal vein. Okay? So, cortical radiate vein, interlobal vein, okay, and then renal vein. Ay, arcuate, no? Arcuate muna. So, sorry. Tingnan natin, no? So, anatomy. So, cortical radiate vein, tapos arcuate vein, tapos interlobal vein, direct to the renal vein. Okay, so that is now the venous blood flow. Okay, so that is called the venous blood flow. If the question is, how is the venous blood flow in order? So it's other way around. You begin with cortical radiate vein. Okay, at the end, at the renal vein. Okay, so that is our venous blood flow. So there is no segmental vein. So if the question is, what is not present in the venous blood flow, that is present in the arterial blood flow. It's the segmental veins. Okay, so that is the blood supply. Aorta. Then from aorta, it goes to the renal artery, segmental, interlobal, arcuate, cortical radiate, afferent arteriole, glomerulus, efferent arteriole, peritubular capillaries, cortical radiate, arcuate vein, interlobar vein, renal vein, and inferior vena cava. What is added here is when the blood goes to the glomerulus, no? So we have the afferent arteriole after the cortical radiate vein. It will now enter the glomerulus. The entrance is the afferent arteriole. So once it enters the glomerulus, it will now exit to the efferent arteriole. Okay? And goes to the peritubular capillaries. These four are added, no, on the circulation. So it goes back now, the cortical, arcuate, interlobal, renal, and inferior vena cava. Okay, so again, it will be recycled again in continuously with our blood circulation. Okay, so nephron. So in the kidney, we have almost 1 million nephrons inside. So inside the kidney, there is what we call the structural and functional unit of the kidney. Okay, so there are 1 million nephron inside each kidney. Okay, so these are the nephrons, no? This one and this one. So there are two types of nephrons according to their location. Just like this one is located in the cortex. So this is the cortex. Okay, so this is the medulla. Okay. So this kind of nephron is what we call the cortical, and this one is because it's located on two, no? The part is divided into the cortex and the medulla. This is the juxtamedullary nephron. Okay, so later on we will talk about that one. So nephrons are responsible for forming urine. By the way, memorize this one, no? Structural and functional unit. So it is not just an structure, but it is functioning. That's why it's called structural and functional unit of the kidney. Okay, responsible for forming the urine. So there are main structure of these nephrons, no? The glomerulus and the renal tubules. Okay, the renal tubule is also divided. So we will talk about that one later. So the glomerulus is this one, no? This one. Usually they define it as tuft of capillary. Tuft of capillary. In other book, no? Tuft. T-U-F-T. Tuft of capillaries. Okay. Others say knot of capillary. Pinagbuhol mo nga. Okay, so there are capillaries there. So this is the one doing the filtration. Okay. And this renal tubule is the one doing the reabsorption and secretion. Okay. So here we have this nephron and this nephron. Okay. So this is called juxtamedullary nephron. This is called cortical nephron. Okay. Those are the two types. No. So according to their location. So let's talk about glomerulus. So here it says knot of capillary. Okay, so this is now your nephron. Okay. Remember on the blood flow a while ago, no? So this is the cortical radiate artery. In the cortical radiate artery, it will now go to the afferent arteriole. Okay, here the arteriole will create a knot. It will create a knot. Okay, so there will be a knot. But this one is a continuous knot, no? That will exit. And it's called efferent arteriole. So do not be mistaken that this is not a continuous. So this is a continuous capillary or blood vessel that will circulate, no? Okay, so that is the afferent arteriole. So the entrance is the efferent arteriole. So this is now your glomerulus. Okay, so it was described as capillaries. Okay, so capillaries are covered with podocytes. So aside from this glomerulus has podocytes. These are cells, no, that clings to the glomerulus. Okay, from the renal tubules, from the renal tubules, I should say. So glomerulus sits with a glomerular capsule called the Bowman's capsule. This is the more popular name, no? Bowman's capsule. Another name is glomerular capsule. Okay, so here we have the Bowman's capsule. Yan. So it has a Bowman's capsule. Yan. That's the Bowman's capsule. So inner layer of the capsule contains podocytes. Okay, so the inner layer of the capsule also contains podocyte. Also, the podocyte has filtration slit. Okay, so this is now the apparatus, no, of these podocytes. Okay, so to measure the size of the molecules that can go out, because only small molecules can go out from the glomerulus. So there is an apparatus that they are using, the podocytes, no, that clings to the glomerulus and has foot processes that stick to the glomerulus. So these foot processes are used to stick to the glomerulus, and it has filtration slit. For example, this is one part of the glomerulus, no? Sample. Actually, the glomerulus has pores. Butas po yung glomerulus natin, no? Of course. Okay. So, what these podocytes do is they go to here and they use their foot processes to cling to here, no? And from here, they create slits. So, meron tayong slits. These slits now will not allow the large particle to pass through. So, only small particles can pass through here in the glomerulus. The small only, no? What are those? There are so many. The glucose, the potassium, the amino acid, the chloride, the bicarbonate, and also the waste product, urea, creatinine. Those are small particles that can go out from the glomerulus here. Okay. Yan. So, this is now the glomerulus, no? This is the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so this is the glomerulus. As you can see, afferent arterioles, this is the entrance of the blood, no? Okay. So once the blood passes through here, all components of blood that are small can pass through the pores of the glomerulus and they get out. And all the large particles cannot go out. So all the large particles, they will just pass through the glomerulus and go back to the blood. Who are these? Large protein, no? The protein, and the blood cells. Blood cells. Okay, the blood cells. So, blood cells will not go out here. And also the protein. Okay, so that is the role of our glomerulus. So, glomerulus works under high pressure, no? So, it has high pressure by the hydrostatic pressure. Yeah. Hydrostatic pressure is being maintained here, no? Because the meaning of filtration is transfer of molecules from higher pressure to lower pressure. So, the glomerulus has higher pressure than the Bowman's capsule. So, the Bowman's capsule has lower pressure. So, if the blood passes through here because there is a high pressure, hydrostatic pressure, it will now push the small particles to go out from the pores of the glomerulus. Okay, because this Bowman's capsule has low pressure, all these particles will move to the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so yun. All the particles that move to the Bowman's capsule generally are called filtrates. Ganun pa yun. So, the glomerulus is producing filtrates. And what are the filtrates? They are the small, no, particles that get out from the glomerulus. Okay, so no matter what they are, if they exit in the glomerulus, in general, they are called filtrates. So there are many filtrates that can go out there, no? We have the first is water. It's okay, water. I have difficulty in writing. I'm using the mouse now. So water. We have the sodium. We have the potassium. We have the chloride. We have the calcium. We have the glucose. No, glucose. We have the amino acid. We have the bicarbonate. Okay. What else? And waste product also. Waste. We have the nitrogenous, no? We have the urea and urea. Okay, so they are being excreted in the, or filtered filtered in the glomerulus. So in general, first we will call them filtrates. Okay, so they are not yet part of the urine. So in general, they are called filtrates. Okay, so filtrates is being measured. Okay, so in measuring filtrates, we use the glomerular filtration rate. Okay, in some books, they say the normal glomerular filtration rate is 120 ml per minute or 180 liters per day. Wow. So the kidney is very easy. Very busy, sorry, very busy. So imagine the 180 liters per day. How much is that one? You know the gallon that we are putting our mineral water, the blue one, that is 18 liters. So 10 of that per day. Okay, but in the board exam, they are using this per minute, no? There are some books saying 125, 135, but close to that, no? Average 120. Men have more GFR than women. Oh, women, I think 110 only, like that. Okay, just search, no? So that one is the GFR, glomerular filtration rate. Do not forget this one because this one is coming out in the board exam, no? Glomerular filtration rate. So if you talk about the glomerular filtration rate, you talk about the amount of filtrates that the kidney is producing or the glomerulus is producing. And if you talk about filtrates, these are the filtrates, the small particles that get out from the glomerulus. The glomerulus is using a high pressure, no? Hydrostatic pressure and using the podocytes. Okay. So that not allowing the large particle that come out like the protein and blood cells. Okay. So these are the food processes that will cling. So this is podocyte cell, no? Ayan. So this is the podocyte cell. So it will now cling to the uh, glomerulus. Okay, so the next major part is the renal tubule. Okay, which is divided into glomerular Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule. Okay, so this is the structure here, no? So if we start here, okay, so the Bowman's capsule. Okay, next to the Bowman's capsule, there is a structure here, no? Medyo nakakalito kasi proximal convoluted. Convoluted, ibig sabihin kaya, no? Convoluted, no? Convoluted tubules. Proximal means near to the Bowman's capsule. Okay? And then it will have loop of Henle. Loop means it loops like this. So loop of Henle. And so we have the loop of Henle and then distal convoluted tubule. If you say distal, far to the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so distal convoluted tubules. And after that one, it is connected to the collecting duct. No, collecting duct. Okay, so we have another one here, no? Naputol collecting duct. Okay, we have collecting duct. Maybe in the next slide, no? So the renal tubule extends from the glomerular capsule and ends to the collecting duct. So the end is collecting duct. Okay, so types of nephron, again, cortical nephrons located in the cortex. Yan. Includes most of the nephrons. So there are more nephrons here. Juxtamedullary nephrons located in the boundary. Look at here. Half-half. Okay. Okay, so the collecting duct. Okay, so the collecting duct receives urine from many nephrons. If you look at the collecting duct, no, this is confusing, no? So one branch, one nephron. So this one will be connected to another this kind of structure. This one will connected to another this kind of structure. This one will be connected to another this kind of structure, and this one will be connected to another this kind of structure. So that is why his name is collecting. So he's collecting from many nephrons. So receives urine from many nephrons. That is why it's called collecting duct. Okay, so run through the medullary pyramids. So after this one, it will go now to the medullary pyramid. So this is connected to the medullary pyramids. It will now deliver the urine to the medullary pyramids. Okay, so deliver urine into the calyces and the renal pelvis. So if this is the medullary pyramid, so it will run here. So the urine will go here, and then the calyx will receive it, and then to the renal pelvis. Okay, that's the collecting duct. But there is a function. So there are functions of this one, no? Not only to collect, but not only to receive, but also absorption. Okay, so let's go now to nephron anatomy. So nephrons are associated with two capillary beds. Look at this. There are two capillary beds. How many capillaries are there? Two. Okay, so glomerulus, another one. No, so we define it as knot of capillaries or top of capillaries. One. Okay, so peritubular capillary bed. Okay, so this one is for filtration. This one is for reabsorption. No, reabsorption and secretion. Okay, reabsorption and secretion. So glomerulus is for filtration. The peritubular capillary bed is reabsorption and secretion. So where is the peritubular capillary bed? If you look at the renal tubules, so if this is the glomerulus, and we say a while ago that this is continuous, after a knot of capillary, it will end here in the afferent arteriole. So the rest will now surround all the renal tubules in order to perform reabsorption and secretion on the tubules. Because he is the blood vessel, so he is the one who will absorb and he is the one who will secrete. Although tubules can secrete their own also, no? Especially regulating the acid base. So they are now clinging. They are very close to the renal tubules because of that process they are doing. Okay? And then they will return to the renal vein. Okay? So this is the peritubular capillary bed. Okay? So here, fed and drained by arterioles. What do we mean by that one? So again, blood will go to the glomerulus. It was fed by the afferent arteriole and it was drained by the efferent arteriole. So afferent means entrance, okay, or the door to go in, no? Efferent, ito na lang yung code mo sa exit. Okay, exit. Okay. So exit, efferent arteriole receives blood that has passed through the glomerulus. Okay? So afferent arteriole, the origin of this one is the cortical radiate artery. Okay? And feeds the glomerulus. So this is the cortical radiate artery. Afferent artery receives blood from that pass through the glomerulus. So repeat. Afferent feeds the glomerulus. Efferent drains the glomerulus. Entrance, exit. Okay? So, specialized for filtration. The main purpose of the glomerulus is for filtration. Filtration happens because of the hydrostatic pressure. So, it has a high pressure process fluid and solutes out of the blood into the glomerular capsule. Okay, so because there is a high pressure in the glomerulus, it will now force the fluid and solutes out of the blood into the Bowman's capsule. Ito na siya, no? A while ago, we talked about the pressure. So, there is a higher pressure than the Bowman's capsule. So, the filtrates will move to the Bowman's capsule and goes to the renal tubules for reabsorption. And, yes, for reabsorption. Okay, so, let's repeat, no? Afferent arteriole, okay, goes to the glomerulus. Okay, after going to the glomerulus, all the large particles will not get out from the glomerulus because they are large, because there is podocytes guarding there, and then they get out from the efferent arteriole. Okay, so let's talk about the peritubular capillary beds. No, so the blood vessels that are surrounding, no, the capillary that are surrounding the renal tubules. So this one arises from the efferent arteriole of the glomerulus. So again, from here, so it arises from here. So this is the origin of the peritubular capillary beds, no. So normal low pressure. A while ago, glomerulus is high. This is low pressure capillaries. Okay, low pressure capillaries. Why low pressure? Because it will absorb. Okay, so adapted for absorption instead of filtration. Okay, so the reason for low pressure is for absorption. That is their main function, no? Instead of filtration. So they cling close to the renal tubule to reabsorb or reclaim some substances from the collecting tubules. Okay, so this is very important, no? The peritubular capillary beds. Okay, so they are also determining how much being reabsorbed or being thrown, no, together with the renal tubules, because the filtrates will pass to the renal tubules and go to the interstitial space, okay, in between these renal tubules and the peritubular capillaries through diffusion and active transport and simple diffusion. This material will go back to the um, renal vein, no, or peritubular capillary beds. Okay, so this is it. So let's talk about urine formation. So this is your assignment, no? How is urine formed? Of course, first it has to be filtered. So the first process is the glomerular filtration. Okay, so after it was filtered, the product is filtrate, isn't it? Filtrate. Okay, with the rate of 120 ml per minute or 180 liters per day, no? Okay, so it's the tube that will reabsorb. Okay, the tube will reabsorb. Mostly reabsorption is done in the proximal convoluted tubules. Okay, so mostly are done in proximal convoluted tubules. Okay, but reabsorption is done all throughout until collecting duct, no? So this is the tubular reabsorption. And tubular secretion, okay, is the reverse of tubular reabsorption. So there are some drugs and drugs, hormones are being secreted here, no? To perform to initiate reabsorption for the renal tubules, to bring it to the peritubular capillaries. Okay, so when these three processes are being done, the rest will become urine. Okay, so here, this is the process, no? So if the blood pass through the afferent arteriole from the cortical radiate artery, it will enter now the afferent arteriole and go to the glomerulus, no? What we say a while ago is that everything that will come out to this will become the filtrate, no? Filtrate. So this filtrate now will go to the renal tubules, and these renal tubules now will be absorbing, absorbing the filtrates. It depends on how much, but 99% of the filtrates will be absorbed. Only 1% will remain. That's why if you have 180 liters per day, the remaining will be 1,800 ml per day will be the urine. Okay? Will be the urine, or 1.8 liters. Okay, so the glomerulus is very busy filtering, producing filtrate, but 99% is being reabsorbed. So the tubules are now very busy for reabsorbing because 99% will be reabsorbed. Okay? That is why in conclusion, no, it is the kidney that is doing the quality control of our blood, because he will determine how much he will reabsorb, how much he will throw. Okay? And he is throwing the waste product. So, ganun pala yun. No? So, the renal tubules now is determining how much will be reabsorbed and how much will be thrown. Okay? This is determined by the osmolality of the filtrates, no? Osmolality of the blood. If the blood is highly concentrated, more water are being retained, like that, no? So the osmolality of the blood is being monitored by the hypothalamus, no? In the hypothalamus, there is a barometer that is measuring the osmolality of the blood. So if the osmolality of the blood is very high, okay, so water is retained, meaning that you are dehydrated. Okay, so it depends on how much it will be reabsorbed. Okay, so a while ago we said that this. Okay, so what are the filtrates? No, we say here water, solutes smaller than proteins. Okay, forced through the capillary walls, okay, of the glomerular capsule into the renal tubules. So that is the glomerular filtration, no? The tubular reabsorption, what are being absorbed is the water, glucose, amino acid. Okay, these two are very essential to our body, no? So they are very needed. Glucose should not be thrown away, and amino acid should not be thrown away. That is why they are 100% reabsorbed. Okay. So, and needed ions are transported out of the filtrate into the tubule cells. So it will go first to the tubule cells. So these tubes are cells, no? And then enter the capillary blood before it goes here. So there is transferring of these filtrates from the renal tubule cells to the peritubular capillaries. That is why these peritubular capillary are very near. They cling close to the renal tubules because of the transfer of the filtrates or the reabsorption, okay, to the capillary blood. Okay, for the tubular secretion, no, there are ions that are being secreted by our peritubular capillaries to maintain what we call to maintain the acid base. Okay, so we have here potassium. Okay, we have the hydrogen, creatinine. Okay, creatinine should be, this is toxic to our body. This is product of muscle metabolism. They should be thrown 100%. Okay? And also drugs are removed from the peritubular blood. Okay? And they are secreted by the tubule cells. Oh, so baliktad naman. No? So they will first goes to the tubule cells and secrete it inside the tubules. Okay? Into the filtrate. Okay? And influence the reabsorption again of the tubules. So aside from this one, no, there are also hormones that are being secreted here, like the aldosterone. Okay, aldosterone and the ADH. Okay, so this aldosterone and ADH, their target is the renal tubules. Aldosterone is to reabsorb sodium, and ADH is water. H2O. So if you are dehydrated, these two hormones are being uh, secreted into the tubules to absorb these solutes, no? So sodium and water. Okay, so take note na aldosterone is for sodium, and where sodium goes, water goes. That's why aldosterone promotes reabsorption of water. Okay, aldosterone absorbs sodium. It promotes reabsorption of water. But the ADH absorbs water. Okay, to increase blood volume. So if you have low BP and decreased blood volume, your body needed water to be reabsorbed. Okay, so that you will increase your blood volume. So these two hormones are being secreted inside. So these renal tubules will be activated to absorb more sodium and more water. Okay, so that is called tubular secretion. And with this effect, it depends on how, okay, tubular secretion and tubular reabsorption works. So it affects the urine output. Okay, so it's not always the same, no? Just like if you drink plenty of water and your body is too dehydrated, you will have more urine output because the renal tubules will now, okay, regulate the water in your body. So if you have too much water, it will only absorb a little amount of water. Okay, so that is urine output, no? So average urine output is 1.8 liters per minute. In our board exam, no, it's 1.5 liters. Say 1.5 to 1.8, no? Because that is the amount being produced from 180 liters of filtrates. 99% is being reabsorbed. The rest will become urine. Okay? Clear? So, glomerular filtration. Okay? Glomerular filtration. Say, this is a non-selective passive process. Okay, so if you say passive process, no, because it is through high pressure, no? So, it's passive. Water and solute, okay, is smaller than proteins are forced through the capillary walls. Proteins and blood, look at this, no? Proteins and blood cells are normally too large to pass through the filtration membrane. So they cannot pass through. So these large molecules will only exit and go to the circulation. Okay, filtrate is the collected in the glomerular capsule and leaves via the renal tubule. So all that exit here is called filtrates and go to the renal tubules for reassessment, no? Reabsorption and secretion. Reabsorption of the filtrates. Sorry. Okay. Tubular reabsorption. Okay, the peritubular capillaries reabsorb useful substances. These are water, glucose, amino acids, and some ions. So if you look at this illustration, no, so we have the red, active transport, passive transport. Ito na lang anuhin natin, green, secretion. So these are the filtrates, no? These are the filtrates. So what will the filtrates do, no? So the glomerulus now filter the blood, these filtrates get out. So while they are moving here in the proximal convoluted tubule, wherein the most of the absorption is being happen, this now will be reabsorbed. Okay, so these are the filtrates that are being reabsorbed. Remember how many percent? 99% all throughout, 99%. Okay, so once they are being reabsorbed, they go to the peritubular capillaries. Okay, so here, so water is greatly reabsorbed in the descending loop of Henle. So this is the loop of Henle. The loop of Henle have two parts, descending and ascending. So take note, ito po yung lumalabas sa board exam, no? Most of the water is being reabsorbed in the descending loop of Henle. Okay. So if water is being reabsorbed here, so this medullary becomes more contains more water, no? But the kidney should regulate the salinity of this area. So when water goes out, okay, these filtrates become concentrated. But when they go out here, sodium is being reabsorbed. So sodium will go out here. Okay? And this one now will continue here. Sodium will reabsorb here. There is a rule where sodium goes, water goes, isn't it? But this is a very special design, no? In the ascending loop of Henle, water cannot go out. So water will move up, and this one will now become more diluted. Okay? And here in the proximal convoluted tubules, okay, what is being reabsorbed again is this sodium chloride. Okay, potassium is being secreted, and some drugs here. So the secretion of drugs, no, the secretion usually happens in the proximal and distal. Okay, and also here in the collecting duct. Okay, so it will now move here. So the urine output it depends on the amount of uh, filtrate that is being absorbed. So after the distal convoluted tubule, the urine will now go to the collecting duct. Here in collecting duct, reabsorption is still happen. Okay, with the aid of our hormone called aldosterone and also ADH, no, that is being secreted here in the proximal and the collective tubules. Okay, to aid more reabsorption of sodium and water. Okay, so some reabsorption is passive, but most are active. Most reabsorption occurs in the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so this is the most important information that you know, no? So most of the absorption is on the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so tubular reabsorption, what materials are not reabsorbed? Of course, the waste products, no? We have urea, uric acid, creatinine. These two, there are a certain percentage that are being reabsorbed, no? But this one, 100% being thrown away, no? Being thrown away or excreted. Okay. So 100% associated with creatinine metabolism of muscle. Okay? So tubular secretion is the reverse of reabsorption. Some materials move from the blood to the peritubular capillaries into the renal tubules. Okay, so we have the hydrogen and the potassium ions. Okay, and we have the creatinine to be thrown 100%. Process is important to get rid of substances not already in the filtrate. So, if these substances are not in the filtrates. Who produce the filtrates? The glomerulus. So if they are not in the filtrates, but they have to be removed from the body, they have to be excreted through tubular secretion, like this, no? So they should be excreted in the body. So, but they did not pass the filtration in the glomerulus. So they should be excreted from the tubular capillaries to the renal tubules. Okay, Okay, so materials left in the renal tubules move toward the ureter. Okay, diretso na sa ureter, no? Ayan. Okay, characteristic of urine. In 24 hours, okay, so this is the average, no? 1 to 1.8 liters of urine are produced. Urine and filtrate are different. Of course, the filtrate is produced by the glomerulus, no? Filtrate contains everything that blood plasma have except proteins, no? And urine is what remains after the filtrate lost most of its water, nutrients, and necessary ions through reabsorption of the peritubular capillaries. So urine contains nitrogenous waste and substances that are not needed. So that is the difference between the two, no? So filtrates are the one produced by the glomerulus and they will be reabsorbed in the body, no? So urine, usually the color is yellow. Okay. Due to the pigment urochrome, I should say, urochrome. Okay, from the destruction of hemoglobin. Ito na naman tayo. When RBC dies, na it goes to the spleen. The spleen will dissect this RBC and it will go to the liver. Okay, and the liver will conjugate this bilirubin and it will now go to the circulation and some will now go to the urine. So the result of your urine will now become yellow. Okay. Dilute urine is pale, is straw color. Sometimes you urinate so much urine, no? So you can see that your urine is pale. Sterile. Okay, this is very important. What do we mean by sterile? Bacteria free. Okay, so that's why, Marquez, he is drinking his urine because he know that the urine is sterile. There's no bacteria. And that's true because bacteria cannot live with acidic urine, no? With the pH of around 6. Okay. So, slightly aromatic. Oh, mabango. Naangsug. Aromatic. Okay. Specific gravity is 1.001 to 1.035. But, okay, yung lumalabas sa board exam galing kay anong book na ba yan? So, 1.010 to 1.025. Ito yung sa kanila, eh, no? So, if we see this one or this one, they are both correct. Okay? So, this is the specific gravity. Specific gravity is very important to know because the higher specific gravity, the higher concentration is the urine. The higher urine is concentrated, the higher osmolality of your blood. Okay. The higher concentrated, the more you are dehydrated. And that's the rule, no? Okay. Solutes normally found in the urine. We have the sodium, potassium, urea, uric acid, creatinine, ammonia, and bicarbonate. That's why the kidney is also the one regulating the acid base because of the presence of this bicarbonate ions, which is base, no? If your blood is become more acidic, the pH is 7 less than 7.35, no? So the kidney will reabsorb more bicarbonate to maintain your pH blood. Okay. So solutes not normally found in the urine are glucose. Okay, so if you have glucose in your urine, probably your glomerulus are being damaged because of your maybe you have DM, no? And you have hyperosmolarity. Okay, so blood proteins, albumin, no? Sometimes there are albumin in the urine. If you have albumin, if you have UTI, they are checking the albumin content. if you have albuminuria. Red blood cells, okay, so you have the hematuria, hemoglobinuria, white blood cells, pyuria, and if you have bile also. Okay, so these are the conditions enumerated here. Just memorize this one now. Okay. Okay, after the kidney, we have now the ureters. No? So, ureters, we have two ureters or one pair. No? So, this one is a slender tube attaching the kidney to the bladder. So, this is the ureter, no? The yellow one. This one. So, from the kidney to the bladder. Okay, so this is a continuous with the renal pelvis. So, the renal pelvis is located here, no? And enter the posterior aspect of the bladder. So, if you look at the ureters, actually it doesn't end here. It ends at the back of the urinary bladder. So, this one extend until here. So, there will be a hole here, okay, and the exit point of the urine that made up of the trigone, no? So, this one is the trigone. So it says here, enter the posterior aspect of the bladder. There is a story behind why is it located there, no? So runs behind the peritoneum, okay, and then peristalsis aids gravity in urine transport, okay? So aside from the gravity, peristalsis is also being done by these ureters because these ureters are also made up of smooth muscle. Okay, the urinary bladder. Okay, so the urinary bladder is this one. Okay, so if you look at the ureter a while ago, so the end of the ureter is here. Okay, this one. Okay, so it is located here because the reason that when the bladder is full, okay, when the bladder is very full, this one now will close. Okay, because the bladder will be stretched, this will be closed. Unlike if you put it here, if the bladder is full, the urine can come back. Okay, that's why it is uniquely placed here because when the bladder is full, this will close so that there will be no backflow of urine going back to the kidney because usually urine are being contaminated in here. Okay, so there will be genitourinary tract infection. Infection come from the urethra and goes here. So the body is preventing the urine to go back by placing the ureter at the back. Okay, so this one now. Okay, so erase. Okay, so this one now will close the ureter to prevent backflow. Okay, so this one now is called the trigone. Okay, so we have three holes. Okay, so the three opening is called the trigone. So this is your trigone. Okay, triangular region of the bladder base. So where can you find the trigone? At the bladder base. What is the shape? Triangular region. So the three openings are two from the ureters. So we have this one, two. There are two, and one from the urethra. Okay, so this is the triangular region, which is called the trigone. Okay, so in males, there is a prostate gland, okay, surrounds the neck of the bladder. So if this is the bladder, we have an extra anatomy here, which is called the prostate gland. And the prostate gland is very special to male because this prostate gland produces zinc. Zinc. This is the vitamins of the WBC. Make the WBC more immunocompetent. Okay. So the wall of the urinary bladder. So let's go now to the wall, no? There are three layers of smooth muscle, okay, collectively called detrusor muscle. Okay, please remember this one. This is the one coming out in the board exam if you talk about urinary bladder, no? Urinary bladder is always talk about with the UTI, urinary tract infection, because the most common site for UTI is the urinary bladder. Okay? That is why the most common site of pain for UTI is the suprapubic pain, no? Wherein the urinary bladder is located. Okay, so the mucosa is made up of transitional epithelium. So if you go to the mucosa, if this is the urinary bladder, if you go to the mucosa, it is made up of transitional epithelium. Why transitional epithelium? Because this transitional epithelium the cells here can change its shape from cuboidal, it can go to flat, no? Squamous single cell. Okay? It has a transitional shape. That's why it's called transitional epithelium. Okay. Walls are thick and folded in an empty bladder. And they have also rugae like the ano, like the stomach. And this rugae disappears when this one is stretched, no? And bladder can expand significantly without increasing internal pressure. Okay, without increasing internal pressure, this one can expand. Okay. Actually, the anatomical capacity of the urinary bladder is around 2 liters. Imagine that one. If the person is under general anesthesia during operation, it can hold up to 2 liters. That's why if the patient is having a long operation, indwelling catheter, or IFC, indwelling Foley catheter, should be inserted to the client during operation so that they can monitor the urine output and not to let the um, bladder to be distended because the patient is not aware and it can hold 2 liters, no? It could cause trauma to the patient. Okay. Okay, so urinary bladder capacity. A moderately full bladder is about 5 inches, no, long and holds about this one, 500 ml of urine. So, if you are aware, no, if you are not under anesthesia, you can hold about 500 ml of urine. But if there is already 500 ml of urine in your bladder, you have the strong urge to urinate, no? Kailangan tutututan, no? Mahirap mo nang pigilan if there's 500 ml of urine. So, capable of holding twice the amount of urine. So, 1,000 ml. But as I have said, if you are under anesthesia, it's 2 liters, no? Oh, so this is the urinary bladder. Okay. And so this is empty. So this the bladder is the one stores the urine, no? Okay. So urethra. Okay, this is now the opening. Okay, the opening of the urinary bladder so that you can urinate. It is a thin-walled tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body by peristalsis. Okay, so release of urine is controlled by two sphincter. So here we have two sphincter, no? We have here the external and we have here the internal. Okay, so external and internal. Again, just like the anus, the internal is made up of smooth muscle in which it is involuntary control. Okay? So once the bladder is full or contain around 350 ml, you can feel now that your bladder is full. Okay, so this one now will open, especially if it is 500 ml already. So this one now will open, but you can still control your urination because of the external urethral sphincter. No, so we have internal urethral sphincter, which is involuntary, which is made up of smooth muscle, and we have external urethral sphincter, which is voluntary, made up of skeletal muscle. Always take note of this one, no? Smooth muscle are voluntary, involuntary. Skeletal muscle are voluntary. So that you can control this. This one you cannot control. Okay, so there are two sphincter again in the urethra. Okay. So for the gender differences on the urethra, usually no, may females is shorter, no? Females urethra is shorter. It's around 3 to 4 centimeter or 1 inch. Okay, in males, it is 20 centimeter or 8 inches. Okay, so location sa females, anterior to the vaginal opening. So if this is the vaginal opening, no? Okay, so we have the vaginal opening here. This is very difficult to locate. We have the clitoris here. Just below the clitoris, there is a small opening here. So this is the clitoris. This is the vaginal opening. This is now your urethral orifice. Okay, so this is your urethral orifice, no? Yeah. So they insert the catheter here, go to the urinary bladder. This is one of the most difficult tasks to do when you are going to insert female catheter. You have to locate the urethral meatus, meaning the opening of the urethra. It's called urethral meatus. You have to spread the labia majora and minora and locate the clitoris. Just below the clitoris, we have the urethral meatus or the urethral opening. Okay. For the males, okay, travels through the prostate uh, gland and the penis, no? So it's very easy to locate our urethral meatus. For example, this is our penis, no? So we have the hole here and it travels through here. So this is our urethra. Okay, so we have prostatic urethra. Here we have the prostate, no? And then we have the membranous urethra here. And then we have the spongy urethra here. Okay. So with this difference, no, female now are more prone of having UTI than man because they are shorter. So the bacteria can go easily to the urinary bladder. While in male, it's too long to travel, no? And we have an extra anatomy here, the prostate gland, that also help us boost our WBC to fight the bacteria. So that's the two reason, no? Shorter is the female, the male is longer, and female has extra anatomy, which is prostate gland that produces zinc. Okay. So function, females only carries urine. Okay, the urethra is only for the passageway of urine. But for males, not only passageway of urine, but also passageway of sperm cell and semen. So, dalawa, no? So, oh, for urine and for sperm cell and semen. So, it is also part of our reproductive system. Okay, so the process of voiding is what we call micturition. Okay, so pag umihi ka, micturate o micturation. Okay, so both sphincter muscle must open to allow voiding. So internal first and then external. But both of them should be relaxed or open so that micturation will occur. Okay. The internal urethral sphincter is released after stretching of the bladder. Okay, so the pelvic splenic nerve. So this one, pelvic splenic nerve is the one innervating, okay, or initiate the bladder to go into reflex contraction. So the bladder will contract, okay, and then urine is forced past the internal urethral sphincter, and a person feels to urge to void. So the first thing to do is the bladder should contract, and the bladder is influenced or stimulated by this splenic or pelvic splenic nerve, okay, to contract, and you will now urge to void. Okay, so the external urethral sphincter must be voluntarily relaxed to void. So this is under your control, no? You can control your external urethral sphincter.